Hello everybody and welcome back to another Resident Evil 8 demo video. Just to let you know what is going on with this video, I played it on Sunday like I was supposed to play it on Sunday during the timed exclusive period that you can play these demos. But it was really late at night, and so I decided that I wasn't going to do commentary live because, well, the rest of my family were asleep and I was very tired. But I forgot to turn my microphone and my things off, even though I wasn't wearing my headset, and it picked up a lot of background noise. So there's not really going to be much sounds going on from the actual video. It'll probably be very muted. And what you're going to get instead is me talking to you, you lucky devils. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about some of the things regarding Resident Evil Village that is coming up 1 week from today, only a week away from it. What rumours there have been flying around, what I suspect and what I think may happen with Resident Evil Village, and what we have to look forward to, and my impressions of the demos that we've played so far. This second demo was in the castle, a return to the castle, which we went to during the maiden demo, which was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. This demo comes at it from a slightly different angle. Things have changed around a lot, as you'll see later on when I get completely confused about where I am and where I need to go, therefore wasting the short amount of time that I had in this demo. But once again, it is beautiful. The castle is adorable, and I will definitely be returning to the castle for the hour-long demo that we have this week before the game comes out on Friday, so that I can spend some more time in the castle and actually explore it without messing up a little bit more. But that's a little bit later on in the video. All we need to know so far is that Resident Evil Village is a week away. And that means I've run out of time to do all the things that I wanted to do in preparation for Resident Evil Village, because I'm doing a degree course. And that means a lot of my time is not my own anymore. I was hoping to at least get the chance to play Resident Evil 7 before next week, but I'm not sure I'm going to get the time because I have an assignment due and a presentation that I have to do. So if I don't get to play that beforehand, we will catch up. We will retroactively change the things and we will do it. But this is a continuation of the story from Resident Evil 7. Ethan Winters has returned, and from the early demos or the early trailers that we see, he's moved back into action following the death of his wife, who survives Resident Evil 7, making some of the events in the canon and some others. There's a choice that you can make that makes no sense in Resident Evil 7, but one choice is specifically canon because Mia survives the events in that game. Sadly, it looks like to not last particularly long in this game, as she is killed off by a series favourite, and a favourite of mine, who's now killing people for reasons we don't really know. That will remain to be seen, but I will talk a little bit more about Mr. Buffield as we contend. This is a direct sequel to Resident Evil 7, and apparently, according to rumours and according to things that have been going around on the internet in the past few weeks, this has been something that they had actually planned for a while, and there is rumours now going around, in spite of the first trailers saying that this game is going to bring his, playing the pronoun games, story to an end, that this is actually part of a trilogy, and Resident Evil Village is going to be the second part in a trilogy. They already have Resident Evil 9 in the works. Now, if that's the case, that's really cool, because they can tell a really good story, I think, with Ethan Winters and build him up. However, they're also saying that Resident Evil 9 is going to be the last numbered series or numbered game in the series, and after that there is going to be a focus on more standalone stories, which makes me suspect that the he in the whole his story is coming to an end doesn't actually refer to Ethan, but refers to the other character that is going to be in Resident Evil Village, which has made me worried. I've been quite vocal about my worries for that certain character, but I don't know. I think I can accept it. I'm beginning to think that maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that we start letting go of these older characters. And if this game or this story that they're putting together over the course of a trilogy wraps that up and wraps it up well, I think I can accept it. But we will see what happens with that. I just want to read out a tweet that I saw that I found. It was from Aesthetic Gamer, aka Dusk Golem, that said, just to summarize, we know that Resident Evil Village was supposed to be a direct sequel to Resident Evil 7, and that was decided pretty early on. There's some things that were put in Resident Evil 7 that will make much more sense after Resident Evil 8, more than any other series of titles in the series history. Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 9 have a connected, planned out story as all ended up in development close together. We suspect that this is why they want to move past numbered titles after Resident Evil 9 to start telling more self-contained stories rather than have to plan out the series ahead of time. Which I kind of feel like they've already done in Resident Evil going forward. They are quite self-contained stories, even though there has been an overarching story. But I think it's really, really interesting that they are perhaps going to try and tell a story over 3 games that is sort of self-contained, that obviously centres around Ethan Winters and brings in Chris, who we saw in the previous thing. Roughly on the screen now, you should see that I reached the Duke's Emporium, and this was a character who is based off the merchant from Resident Evil 4, and there was some upset when he was shown at first because people thought that he was the merchant from Resident Evil 4 and they made him fat. But he's a different character, and he's called the Duke, and there is a little throwaway line that I kind of skipped over a little bit at the end as I was coming over there. He has a little throwaway line repping the merchant. He goes, I'll buy it at a high price or something like that. And he goes, that's what a friend of mine used to say. It's quite funny. Yes, that is cool. I love the callbacks and the feel of Resident Evil 4 that's in this game, which obviously is clearly because they're going to use the engine and the same model for building up the Resident Evil 4 remake, which I'm all for. I can take that. I can live with that because I really like the Resident Evil 2 remakes, and I really like the Resident Evil 3 remake, even though there was content not in it that should have been in it, but I still think that it was really, really good. So that big jolly dude who is taking the merchant role in that game, I quite like him. I think this game is going to have some really interesting characters in it, and that is kind of what I want to talk about going forward. So we've obviously met and we have seen a fair bit of Lady Dimitrescu, who is the very tall vampire lady who has taken over the internet because she is incredible. She's gorgeous. She's probably the most popular, most anticipated and best Resident Evil villain we've had for a long, long time. She has firmly become a fan favourite on the internet, and I can see why, but she is only one of 4, it seems, Lord type characters who are gonna act as sort of sub-bosses throughout Resident Evil Village for Ethan to fight. And we have seen the one who I believe his name is Eduardo or something like that. Heisenberg. Eduardo, I don't know where I got that from. Heisenberg is the cool looking guy in the hat that I think people initially mistook for perhaps being Louis Serra. He's not a good guy, he is a bad guy, as you will see in the trailer that appears at the end of this demo. He is not a good guy. And there's a part in the trailer where Lady Dimitrescu, Elsina, her name is, refers to him as her brother, perhaps. We've heard of Mother Miranda in the first demo, and I wonder if it is actually there is a familial connection, or whether it's like just a cool thing that, you know, they call him, oh, she is the mother, so therefore he is my brother, even though they're not biologically related. But I think the biological relation would be a callback to what happened in Resident Evil 7. And I think that would be quite cool, to be honest. There are two more sort of sub-boss characters. There's a puppeteer called Donna. Donna Benevietto or something like that. I'm not sure of the fourth one from what I've seen. I've been very, very careful of trying to avoid things, but I did a little bit of research for this video, for what I wanted to talk about in terms of rumours, because I wanted to be a little bit more informed. But it sounds like we're going to have a really cool host of characters and enemies and villains and stuff that's just, it's straight out of Resident Evil. I'm excited. And we're going to like escalate from one to the other. I think this Heisenberg character, he seems to have a connection with the werewolves and the Lycans and stuff. And then, you know, we move on to the castle, and you have Alcina, Lady Dimitrescu, big tall vampire lady with her lovely sexy vampire ladies, her vampires, the puppeteer type thing, which feels like that could be really quite creepy. Yeah, it seems like there's going to be distinct areas that Ethan's going to have to work his way through, you know, culminating fights with these sub bosses before we get to Mother Miranda, the big one behind it all. I'm interested to see how this links to what happened in Resident Evil 7, whether it's the same kind of virus that's caused these sort of supernatural creatures to come about, whether it's the same sort of thing that spawned from, what was the young girl's name from Resident Evil 7? I am drawing a blank right now. I can't think of her name, but yeah, the virus, the molded virus that was connected with her, Evelyn. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really, really interested to see what the connections are and how the connections come together. But speaking of connections to the whole of the rest of the series, there's one obvious major connection, and it's a connection that's flummoxed a lot of people, because the actions that we've seen this character do on the trailers and stuff are a little bit out of character. A character that seems to have lent more into the dark side and has perhaps been seduced by the company that they started working for, who are perhaps not as good as they were claiming to be. And that is fan favourite, Lucy favourite, Chris Redfield, the Bufffield, who on the very first trailer that we saw for Resident Evil Village took a gun and shot Mia repeatedly, killing her. Why? Why is he doing this? I think my personal opinion is if you've played Resident Evil 7, you know the story of it, you understand the character of who Mia was. And Ethan perhaps was too, but that was never really confirmed. Like, she was a bioterrorist. She was not a good person. She was transporting a bioweapon to somewhere for somebody, you know, taking care of it, and was trained in this thing. Yes, she got infected. Yes, she got captured. Yes, she was the wife of the protagonist and sort of became a protagonist in her own right. She was a playable character. But she wasn't necessarily a good person. And even though Ethan technically cured her during Resident Evil 7, we've seen before, you know, the lingering effects of these viruses and being cured from them. Like, you think of Sherry Birkin and Jill, who we haven't seen since she got cured from what happened in Resident Evil 5. These things, they have a lasting effect. So I don't suspect, I suspect that Chris taking her out is not as dark and as bleak and as terrible as it seems, though, you know, from Ethan's point of view, that's not going to be the case. She's his wife and the mother of his baby, his daughter, who Chris's men have taken and apparently delivered to the hands of these crazy people in this place. So there's a reason that Chris is doing this. As of yet, it is unclear. The rumours suggest that Chris would do this sort of thing to protect somebody that he loves or somebody that he cares about, leading to speculation that there might be the addition of characters into this game who we haven't seen for a while, namely female members of the, you know, upper echelon of Resident Evil characters, sort of, you know, Jill Valentine or Claire. And while I think that could potentially be true or something that is entirely possible, I don't know. It doesn't quite sit right with me. I would love to see Jill. I'd love to see Jill in a new game. We haven't seen Jill for so long, and I miss her. You know, she was in the remake. They have a new photorealistic version of her and a new actress to play her, who I think did a really, really good job. So it would be cool if they see her bring back, but like canonically, story-wise, going down the timeline, we haven't seen her since Resident Evil 5, which I think was set like sort of almost 8 to 10 years before these games. We haven't seen her in the canon timeline for a while. It would be cool to see what she's up to, potentially. You know, something's happened to her and that's why he's doing the things that he's doing. I don't think we'll see Claire. The new actress that plays Claire is working on the Netflix show that is coming out, the animated Netflix show that's coming out with the new actor who played Leon. They're both going to be in that. So I don't think she would have been in this game as well. Possibly there could have been, but I don't think so. I think if you start putting more of those characters into this, it kind of takes away a little bit from the story. And I think it's very much Ethan's story. Chris isn't in here having, you know, well, he's having his own story obviously in the background, but yeah, I don't think that we're going to see too many other characters. I think we're going to find a legitimate reason for why Chris is doing what he's doing. The interesting thing that I noticed, and it was a long time until I noticed this, and I don't know whether it was an image that had been out or that only came out relatively recently, and I just didn't see it or didn't notice, but one of the main promotional images now that is coming out for Resident Evil Village is of Chris, and you know, half of his face is a werewolf. So yeah, I wonder if there's a connection to that, whether he's been infected and he's got to try and, you know, save himself too, and the cure for this for other people and for himself comes through Ethan's daughter, which is highly possible, I think. So yeah, it's there's a lot of fan theories going around about why Chris is doing what he's doing, and I am interested too in finding out. I suspect that we're not gonna get the happiest of endings for Chris. I think we're coming towards the end of his story. I think that the tease of his story coming to an end does refer to Chris. I think either in this game or if there is a sequel, if there's a Resident Evil 9 also in the works, I think we are going to sort of see the end of Chris, whether he goes out like a complete and utter badass, or, you know, I don't think you ever actually retire from fighting bioterrorism. I don't think that that's something you do. You don't go and live on a beach somewhere while all this stuff is still going on in the world. But I think that he will probably go out like a badass at some point. And while it will break my little heart, if it's done well, I will accept it. So, right, on the screen right now, you should be seeing me running away from a vampire lady, because this is the part where I messed up. I completely forgot like the layout of this area from playing the first demo and where I needed to go, and I thought that I needed to fight her, and I ended up using all of my ammo, which you will see a little bit later on is a bit costly. I wish I'd worked out this whole part sooner. So, you know, in true Lucy style, you see me fail for a while before I work out exactly what I needed to do. But, you know, this is why I want to go back to the castle, because as soon as I worked it out and I was like, yeah, I need to go through this part. How do I get this off? Where do I go? Why did I waste all of my ammo on this stupid vampire lady? And we can do that again. The setting of this game looks like it's going to be really, really interesting. I have a picture of the map. There is a map available, and I might show it on the screen also, of the village and the area that is surrounding this. So there is like 4 areas. Moreau must be the 4th lord. So there's a reservoir, there is the factory, which is connected to Heisenberg, which I believe then must be connected to the werewolves. There is House Beneviento, which was the puppet lady, and there is the castle, and there is another place on that map and the village. So there seems to be, there's going to be a lot of really cool sort of separate hub kind of areas that you move through that are going to be a little bit different, which is awesome. Everything that I keep seeing for this game looks great. It really does. It looks exciting and it looks interesting, and I just want to know more. I want to explore more of this game. Now, I want to know what's going on. I can't wait. I have to wait only one more week to find out. But I am looking forward to unraveling this story and this mystery. And Ethan got away from the vampire lady eventually and got into the basement, or the other area of the castle leading into the basement, which was creepy. And at this point I was like, oh my god, there is going to be monsters down here, and I don't have any ammo, so therefore I'm gonna die. You can wait and see whether I did or not, or how I proceeded. So right, let me have a little look through what other things there were. Oh yeah, in regards to Chris as well, they've changed his character model back so that it looks more like traditional Chris, which is interesting in that they made this sort of photorealistic version of Chris that they put on the end of Resident Evil 7 that people were like, that's not my Chris, hashtag not my Chris Redfield. And I was one of those people like, hashtag not my Buffield, that's not my Chris. It doesn't really look like him. I could accept it, but you know, it didn't really look like him. So they've made his model look more like traditional Chris Redfield that we know and love, which is fine. You know, they can do that from game to game. Changes, appearances can change every so slightly and stuff. We can accept that, and they've gone more back to it. However, the multiplayer game that's coming out alongside Resident Evil Village, called Reverse, I think it's called, has the other Resident Evil 7 Chris model as a playable character. So are they 2 different characters, or are they the same character? Is this one of the answers that Resident Evil like 8 and 9 potentially is going to answer that we still don't know of, or that didn't necessarily make sense from Resident Evil 7? You know, that tweet that I said at the beginning, that there's going to be things that are going to be answered in Resident Evil 8 and potentially Resident Evil 9 that didn't really make sense, or were set up in Resident Evil 7 that haven't been answered yet. I wonder if they are different characters. I always suspected that they weren't, but that will be an interesting one, because Chris's model in this game, in the trailers and the thingies that we've seen, is more like, you know, the Chris that we know is more like the older one. So that is something that I think interesting. I don't think that there was that many questions from Resident Evil 7 that I don't think got answered. I think they did a really good job of wrapping that story up. I would love to have time to play through them. I'll see what I can do. Try and record what I can of it. It's a longer game, but it's not too long. I might be able to pull it off before next week. We'll see. I think a lot of the questions did get answered. I didn't come away from it with more questions than had been answered. There was a few things about who was the I can't remember what they were called. There was an organisation behind the whole thing that we weren't sure was, and this, the rise of Blue Umbrella, who are apparently a force for good, like the new BSAA working to save people and to help people out. Other than that, I don't think that there were many questions that didn't get answered. To me, if they make that Chris thing a thing, like if that Resident Evil 7 Chris wasn't the real Chris, which I think that he was from the Not a Hero DLC, he definitely seemed like Chris. Or if this Chris isn't the real Chris, is that a thing that is actually going to happen? Or am I overthinking? I'm probably overthinking it. Many people are. But there is stuff still that hasn't been answered from Resident Evil 7 that we're going to get answered in this game. So, yes. Other than that, there are other things coming out with Resident Evil Village that we haven't seen for a while. Mercenary mode is coming back, which is awesome. I love mercenary mode. I've played mercenary mode in most of the games. I played mercenary mode with my husband in Resident Evil Revelations 2. I think it was a horde mode type. I think it was called horde mode then. I'm not entirely sure. But I've always liked mercenary mode. I like those kind of things it's more like, it's PvE, it's not PvP. But there is the PvP multiplayer type thing that's coming out with Reverse, which I also think looks really, really good. I'm kind of, I might play that. I might have to set that up to play on some live streams, like some open lobbies or things like that to play. So we're having mercenary mode and then Reverse is coming in with it as well. It seems like, I don't think this is going to be a short game. I think that this is going to be a longer game. It's going to be big. It's going to be full of content. And yeah, I'm all for it. I am super, super excited for this game to come out next week. This is not a lot really more than I can say, other than, the fact that it looks incredible. I will be playing it on the PS5. There are enemies and monsters in this game that look sufficiently awesome, much better than Resident Evil 7, in that, we have a variety of monsters. They're not just the molded. We have more humanoid creatures. We have those werewolf type creatures. There's a variety of them. There's these creatures that are a little bit more zombie-esque, and are interesting and have different attacks and stuff, I think. And bosses, standalone Resident Evil enemies and bosses and decent boss fights. That is something that they did quite well with Resident Evil 7, I must say. The individual members of the Baker family who had their unique attributes, their unique ways of killing you and that sort of thing, and then their unique boss fights. I think that is something that's really good, and it seems like that's going to be carried on. From what we saw in the Village demo, there is going to be not necessarily a core group. I think we are going to see more of those villagers than we did in the demo. Obviously, they change things around and they condense things down for demos. I suspect we're going to see a little bit more of the villagers and the people who are still alive and surviving this encounter, building up to that moment where everybody dies and then Ethan will end up on his own. I say on his own with that lady. Can't remember her name now off the top of my head, but the lady character who is, I believe she's going to be a playable character from what I read or heard quite early on in development. She is going to be a playable character. So she looks interesting and she's going to be cool. There is going to be, you know, plenty of people. There's going to be enough challenge, I think. It's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to uncovering what the story is and seeing the atmosphere and really soaking myself into this game, which I will be playing. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them as live streams. I'll probably just do them as videos so that I can just play. Come Friday when it launches, I can sit down, I can play, I can record, I can get some videos up as quickly as I can, and I can just go for it, and then I can get them out and share it with you as quickly as I possibly can, rather than doing live stream sessions, which I would love to do. I would absolutely love to do, but I also am doing a degree, so I need to be able to, when I can just sit down and play and share that with you. And of course, not to forget that Resident Evil comes out next Friday, and the week after that we have Mass Effect Remastered Trilogy, which I am going to set time aside to do live streams of. So lots of exciting things coming up, which I am going to share with you because, you know, Resident Evil is my thing. It is my thing, and I would like to put a little bit more focus. I say a little bit more focus than what I normally do on my channel. This channel has very much been built up through Resident Evil and games like that, focusing on the core games that I love to play and giving them a little bit more attention and a little bit more love. I do have plans for the next year of things that I want to do with this channel. I would like to do more factual videos, more lore videos. I want to take some of the things that I've been learning through doing my course in terms of theories and that sort of thing, and applying them to the video games that I love. I think the Resident Evil series and the lore involved with it and the production of it and all those sort of things. There is so much in these games that I can delve into and talk about that I would absolutely love to do and share with you all. But I am doing a degree at the same time, so these things are going to come out slowly. It's going to be slow progress over the next couple of years while I'm doing my degree of things that I want to improve upon and put on my channel. But as always, you know, I'm here. I'm still awesome. I'm still here, and Resident Evil will still be here with brand new Resident Evil coming next week on Friday. From Friday. I'm excited. Before then, we have one more demo to get through, and that will be on Sunday. I'm going to do that live. I'm going to have a live stream on Sunday evening. I'm not sure what time it is. It's going to be, but it'll be an hour of Resident Evil Village, probably returning to the castle, and have one last explore before next week. So hopefully you can join me there, and I will see you the next time I'm exploring Resident Evil Village. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Stay safe, and I will see you soon.